All right, friends, thanks for the prayer and the moments, announcements. We are going to continue being the church, and one of the ways we do that is in conversation and relationship building. We are fortunate this afternoon to welcome Albert Long here. He is a student at African University and leadership in the African Methodist Student Movement, which made a very supportive statement of our work. So I invite Albert to come on up and share his thoughts.
Thank you very much. A very good afternoon to you all. And I hope that you enjoyed this day. I still have hope that this is not yet the end of the day, and this is not yet the end for the good things that the Lord has promised to all of us. I'm really happy to be here to share with you some thoughts this afternoon on the church. I'll really try to be short because I know the busy schedule that lies ahead of us, as we all want to go back to the plenary and see how God wishes us to do his ministry. So I'll share some bit of thoughts about what we as a church need to take and how we as a church can do better ministry to everyone. Because we all believe that as a church we need to open our doors, to open our hearts and our minds to the different groups of people, to the different cultures and traditions across the world, and be able to embrace each other, the new aspirations and hopes that we all bear for tomorrow. So, I would like to firstly start that the way the normal of this church does its ministry is related to the way we are structured as a church and the way we do implement our policies. As a church, we do believe that the various structures and offices that exist are there to do ministry. And I believe that each and every one of us would like to see the church expanding its ministry and being able to do more than what it has been done in the past. We in Africa feel the same. We do believe that we need a powerful church that speaks to all of us. And the way we can speak to everyone is through the agencies, the organizations that we work with. And these whole restructuring exercises of the church, the constitutional amendments and the various challenges that lies ahead of us, I believe we'll all be able to take it in a way that will define who we are as individual and collective members of the church and how we wish to see the ministry of the church done. No one would ever want to see a declining church for one particular reason or the other. We don't need to send people out of our church in any part of the world. We have to make sure that what the decisions we take here at the General Conference will be able to do no harm, to do good to everyone, and really help us express love to each other. Because we do believe that the greatest commandment is love, and we have to show love to each other regardless of who they are. And that will define us as true United Methodists who seek to transform the world and make disciples of Christ. So, we have the various proposals, petitions ahead of us, and I would like to say for the delegates that are here, let us be mindful of the fact that God is watching us. The world is also open, trying to look at us to say, well, these are United Methodists. What's going to come out of there? Many denominations have taken various steps with regards to the different issues, and we have to know that we as a church cannot live in isolation of others. We cannot, as a church, be ignorant of the reality that is happening within our houses and in our churches. We have to be relevant to our society and community. We have to make sure that we do ministry in a way that touches each and everyone with the opportunity to come closer to God. We don't need to do away with certain things because of tradition. It's time that we forget about tradition. And maybe as an African, we always tell our leaders, well, you did something in the past. Let's forget about it. Let's see what's the next step that we have to do. So that's the same thing that a church we have to think. Let us think about what is it that happened in the past that was the past. That was the glory of the past. Those are memories that have passed. But we as people who are living today, we should be mindful of the fact that the generations to come will hold us accountable for our actions that we take today. Our children and grandchildren will be asking us, what have you done to make this world a better place for everyone? To make sure that we all live in community. So I would like to also say that as we look forward to a good afternoon and tomorrow, let us try for the delegates, let us be able to listen to the voices of God, to the voice of God, speaking through various people. And let us support those petitions that make sense to the global community. Let us support petitions that do no harm. Let us support petitions that make sure those things which are good about us, we pride about, let us be about it, and those wrong things that we feel ashamed about, let us deal away with it, so as to make sure that when we stand out, we do true ministry to the people. Nobody in this world would want to be associated with something shameful. And as such, as United Methodist Church, let us be associated with something great. Let us seek to build new relations across the various countries, nationalities, and everything, so we can all fully enjoy the blessings of God. We have to appreciate the fact that each individual is unique in his way, that God created him with particular gifts, and that has to be harnessed and brought together if we are to move forward as a church. If we are to move forward as a church, we should be able to make sure that we deal away with discrimination, we deal away with all the challenges that we deal with. Sometimes we fail to define discrimination. We think discrimination is based on race, maybe nationality, or whatsoever. But we also have to deal away with the structural discrimination that exists in our church. We also have to deal away with discriminations that makes us close our doors. We have to deal away with those things that nobody ever feels part of. Nobody is proud of that. So that we can go out to the world and make real disciples of Christ. I know many of the young people have concerns that maybe some of the folks in the ballroom, they do not share the views about. We understand that the current generations are the dynamic generations that want to bring change to this world. How then do we help bring that change? How then do we make that dream a reality? And we always say that we never lose hope, for there shall be a brighter day and a brighter moment for us all to enjoy. So as we seek to do good to everyone, as we seek to make sure that the church moves ahead, I would encourage each and everyone not just to be waiting to see, but to be part of that change. Be part of the change you wish to see, and don't just sit and relax. For God will hold you accountable for any action that you take. Let us keep in mind that God came to save this world, and we also have a role to play. We have to take the first mile, then God will come and do the rest. So, as a church, we also say, what are those challenges that we are likely to encounter if some of the decisions that we make today are passed? We obviously might have a membership decline. We will have some type of regionalism within the church. We will have some sense of lack of representation. And we'll also have discrimination. We'll obviously have quite a number of the negatives that we never wish to see. Even as we think about administrative restructuring and so on, I want us to be able to look at it from a way that will define how we as individuals and collective members of the church wish to see the church move forward. We might not be delegates, or we might not be maybe members that have direct role to play in decision making, but we have that ability and capability to make sure that we push for those things that we want to see done. It doesn't mean that delegates are the best members of our church. We have so many people here who could also be delegates. We also have people here who can play a good role in the church to make sure that the church moves in the right direction that everyone wishes it to see. Let us go, talk to the various people. Let us end any type of social discrimination or challenges. Let us make sure that we create structures that are relevant to our communities, to our ministry. Let us make sure that we are able to embrace God's love for all humanity. In as much as the United Methodist Church has been supportive of the fight against racial discrimination, the fight against colonialism, and all those other things that divided us, we wish to see the United Methodist today transform itself into one that will unite us all, that will really truly live up to its mission and goal. We want to transform this world to make better disciples of Christ. How do we make better disciples of Christ when we try to isolate some people? How do we make better disciples of Christ when we try to live within our comfort zones? Let us go out of our comfort zones. Let us talk to the people. Let us convince them that the love of God is not bound to a particular individual or belief. The love of God is shared to everyone. And in as much as some people have various views or whatsoever, we believe that the time has come for all of God's children to live in that paradise where nobody will try to discriminate, where nobody will try to put some limitations, where nobody will try to say negative things about another person, where we'll all be able to enjoy our relationships, brotherhood, where we'll all be able to sit at the same table and say, this is my brother, this is my sister, with one love. So I would say also that soon there will be some, maybe we are likely to have constitutional amendments or not, but I would really encourage that let us take the best. Let us make sure we do not lose those things that unite us. Let us make sure that the General Conference remains as it is. Let us make sure that we do not leave the power of the church within the hands of a few individuals that could make the worst decisions ever that we might live in our lives. Let us make sure that we push for those things that tomorrow you will be proud of being part of. You will be proud of telling your generations to come that I was there at the 2012 General Conference and we helped make this a reality. That is what we want to see. Well, many Africans maybe couldn't be here to show our love and maybe compassion, but I would strongly encourage you that to know and appreciate that we are there for you, we are there with you. We share the same views and beliefs, even though we could have this general picture and image depicted to say, well, that is what they think, or that is tradition, or that is part of whatever association. But we have to understand and appreciate that God speaks to us differently. And the way God speaks to each and everyone has to be manifested. Don't keep that vision, dream, and gift that God has given you into your seat, but try to go out there and make change possible. God can transform the world through one individual. And today you have to believe that you are that individual who can make that change. You don't need to be a delegate to make that change. I would say you can make that change. Share your beliefs, your convictions and views with those you think may disagree. Yes, it's human nature that sometimes we disagree, but maybe we do not know why do they disagree. Let us try to communicate. Let us try to go and talk to people whom we have never talked to before. Let us not be restricted to our comfort zones. to say maybe I only talk to my delegate from Washington. Go to a delegate from Nebraska. Why don't you go to a delegate from Atlanta? And so on. So that as you try to create those new relationships and new understanding, you bring positive change to the world. The United Methodist Church will change the world. You will change the church. And obviously, you will change the world. So my hope is that all of us will be able to, one way or the other, make decisions, conscientize our friends and fellows, our delegates who are there, and all the other colleagues that this is the time for the church to live up to its promise. This is the time for the church to say we fully opened our doors, our hearts, and our minds to be able to make sure that we move ahead together, not leaving some people behind us, doing away with those things that are negatives and taking the positives, and taking a new step in our life. Maybe this could be a transformational experience for you. Maybe you could have been disappointed, but there is still hope. That's one thing that you have to understand. God is there, and He would allow us to see the light at the end of the tunnel. God will be there to touch your hearts and everything. So I wouldn't take much time. So maybe I would say if there are those who have some questions and so on, I will be ready to take the questions. Well, feel free to ask questions on any issues. It might not be just on what I've talked about, even on the restructuring programs that the church wants to make, the constitutional amendments, and any other views, how that is going to impact us as individuals, as a church, and as the world.